The Perth Racing Preview is where the straight-up team finds you the winners at Belmont Park. All the fixed odds markets are from TABtouch.
Yes, there's something just starting to brew there at the end of that, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. You just turned yourself off as well.
I've turned myself back on.
Oh, you're back.
Yes. We've got a special guest joining us.
We do have a very special guest joining us, Dan Cripps. Hello, Daniel.
Hello, gents. Thanks for having me. I've been a long-time listener and just sitting on the bench waiting
for your turn.
Seeing every Tom, Dick and Harry come in and get their go. So now it's my turn. Let's do it.
There we go. And we've thrown up a fantastic meeting for you as well at Belmont Park this weekend. It's a beauty.
I can see why the humongous list that you have in front of me all said no. So you've really had to scrape the bottom of the barrel, but there's still winners to be found, isn't there?
There is. And one of our regular listeners, Duppy's getting involved very early, Mart. He's getting involved very early. He says, good luck to Brad with his circumcision surgery, and great to get Patrick on. Hopefully a bit more success than against the Lions. Great week for the Duffster last week. He's going again. We'll get to his tips a little bit later on in the program. But get your text in on the Retrovision text line 0427 789 571. Greg already weighing in that Carr got off very lightly. 3 months should have been the punishment.
Yep. With you, Greg.
I think Marty's on board.
I'm with you. Now, let's have a look at weather, track and rail out there on Saturday. It's going to be a perfect day, isn't it? Saturday, 21 degrees, mostly sunny. Those southeasterlies, they'll be around for the next month or two, as they normally are this time of the year. And the rail position is going to be...
back to the true.
True.
After being at the 12 metres there yesterday.
At a Spandau Ballet, true. Okay. Now, what do you think about the meeting overall view?
Small fields would be the theme of the meeting, Dan, in terms of a track pattern or expected track pattern, not going in with any real preconceived ideas, just going to, I guess, have a bit of a watch on how that fence plays early.
Yeah, I reckon rail back at True, Belmont, on a good deck. Like you said, Mart, I'd be going in thinking that horse is close to the speed and on the fence going to be suited, and happy to play that until proven otherwise.
Similar last week?
Yeah, I think so. It's actually, it's just been good to be back on top of the ground again.
Yes, and don't forget 7 Plus. Let's talk about that. Auspicious debut yesterday. Everything went tip-top. It was a terrific picture. The high digital pictures there were fantastic. So,
did you get them here in the studio?
Yes, we did. Yeah, big screen, that one. We couldn't miss them.
No, it was a good start. I enjoyed it.
Smiling little face.
He looked good yesterday.
Oh, it's his smirky. He always looks like he's sitting on something that he shouldn't be. The old Lockster. No, he was good. Scotty was terrific. Found a few winners. What more can you want?
Taylor Cortland from the yard.
He was on fire early.
Big just firing from the hip.
It was good to see and hear and listen to. Well, what about this meeting? Let's get into it. TABtouch Westspeed Platinum Handicap kicks it off.
No meerkats today.
No Mearies. 12-14 the first, over 1,000. No Peng. Unfortunately, no Peng. He's already gone to the Goldfields. He's up there.
That's a worry.
A few tips of Boulder Cup if you want them. We might get to them later. Divine Flirt. Is Harrow just starting to wake up and, throw off the winter slumber and ready for a big summer?
Gee, if the runner Sun Bronze yesterday is anything to go by.
650 into 5 is the toppy. Oregon Hiker is 420 into 3. Smoky Mountain 12. His Angelic 440 into $3. Norwich 7. On the full is 8. And Rommel's Angel 41.
Found this one a bit of a tricky Westspeed Platinum event to kick off proceedings, Dan. From a speed map perspective, you've got some horses that can go pretty quick early. Norwich drawn in 2, on the full drawn 1, Oregon Hiker in 4. How did you have this race mapped out?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think, like you said, there's a few that are going to really want to hold a spot. So the first furlong's going to be interesting. To be honest, wouldn't go in with any confidence to say that I can pinpoint a leader, but whoever can jump the best and show a bit of intent might get there. In saying that, horses who don't necessarily have to lead this, I don't think, to be able to win it. So for me, a horse like Origin Hiker, I think, is going really well. 2 starts ago, down the Pinjarra Straight on the wrong side, ran second to Pin Deep. We all know how good that form is. And then last start came out, led and was tough to get the job done, which has turned actually into a handy little form race. So
Certainly
I think, I reckon that horse is the one to beat.
I agree. I think Oregon Hiker's probably the one for me. I understand that He's Angelic has scope for improvement second up and will appreciate the weight relief, but I thought Oregon Hiker was pretty good in defeating that galloper there last start. It's proven a really good little form race. We saw Aye Rido and Lord Shiva run the Quinella on Sunday just gone. Empress of India was a really nice win, I thought, running down Maiden Mexico yesterday to further frank that form as well. The interesting runner for me is Norwich, who was a first-up winner last prep in a Class 3 over 1,100 metres off a very similar spacing to, I guess, what he resumes from here. Not a overly strong West Speed Platinum, I don't think. And his form through last campaign actually reads up very well for this, around horses like Son of the Boss and Golden Fighter when he was going well, and Rupert's Empire. So it'll be interesting to see how he begins, because I think if Holly can kick through and hold the top from that barrier and not get crossed, this is a weaker contest than some of the races he was more than competitive in last preparation. So he was probably the runner of interest for me. Norwich, but yeah, I think Oregon Hiker's the one to beat.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that horse, Rylie. For me, had the exact same thought process. Clearly the main danger, like you said, similar setup to last preparation. Interesting, he's 0 from 13 at 1,000 metres, but has still run some good races over that distance. And yeah, first up winner at 1,100. Doesn't necessarily have to lead to run well either. So leads or box seats should be there for a while. Getting out to a nice price actually at around that $7 mark. And yeah, I'd prefer a horse like that to He's Angelic or Divine Flirt, who are currently shorter.
Okay, now we forgot at the top of the show to tell you all about the Barbaro Butchers Quaddie Comp, sponsored by Raf and Steph out there at Barbaro Butchers, and Jaden.
Bit of action on this text line asking for this.
Well, they need to get their quaddies in. This has to be in by 6 o'clock tonight. You got to the end of drive to get them in. So it works like this. Final quaddie, the missionary quaddie. Maximum numbers you can put a 4x4x4x4. Now, if there's a tie, the quaddie with the least selection wins.
Least combinations.
Yes, it's the least amount of combinations wins. And if there's still a tie at the end of that, on Monday's drive, it goes into a ballot, and you and Alex can decide who is the winner.
Yep, we'll ballot it.
So that's the rules. There's a $100 voucher out there at Barbaro Butchers.
120 Cockman Road, Greenwood.
You bet it is. And what about Stefan? He has just taken the small goods world by a storm at Barbaro's. They've been voted Australia's best ham for their semi-boneless leg ham, award-winning small goods, family-owned and operated since 1987, premium, local West Australian farm produce, and they support local businesses. Find the Barbaro small goods at your local independent deli and grocer. They're everywhere. They're into IGA. They're into Farmer Jacks. So just ask for them by name, Barbaro Butchers Small Goods. And get the quaddies in on 0427 789 571 on the Retrovision text line, and get them in as well. Now, race number 2, the Ascot opening day, 12th of October, played over the 1,000 metres. Salivating Ascot opening. 1, Sadreamalot, 260. 2, Keep It a Mystery, 11 into 440. Where is he? Where is he?
Well, this is the old. You can't.
He's just throwing a few bombs up when he's not here.
This is the hybrid markets today. Yeah. The copy paste operation. So
the old markets merging,
Yeah, the old merging of markets.
And this has twigged a little thing in my brain in the memory section of it. I'm pretty sure the last time in the old studios when he was away, he threw about 4 of these out. He says, hang on to this one while I'm not here. London's Image is $13. Red Autumn is 26, spec'd in from 34. Flagship, 18 to 14. Sesh, 26 into 15. And Queen of Hawks down the bottom's been firm at 270.
Yeah, this is a interesting race. I know you've got a lot of horses that have shown good early speed early in their racing careers. I thought this was a really fascinating speed map to try and decipher as well, pretty similar to race number 1. On the program, Sir Dreamalot was my starting point, returns to the race as this winner of the Supremacy and runner-up in a Perth Stakes behind Bustling in his juvenile season. Dan went into a pretty hot recent trial heat in the lead-up to this without his race day blinkers. I thought he travelled really well throughout. I thought he finished off well in that trial. He has the runs on the board in this field, has to carry some additional weight as a result, but I do think he's going to get a great run from the barrier, cuddled up, and has posted figures much stronger than anything else that has race day exposure here or has gone near yet. I think he's more than capable of resuming a winner. I'd love to see some support for a horse like a Keep It a Mystery or a Queen of Hawks, and we see that wobble out to something a bit closer to $3. But I think class will take him a long way.
Yep, I agree with you completely. That horse is the starting point. I wasn't overly taken with his trial, but it's definitely worth noting that this horse couldn't go a yard last preparation until the shades went on. So I think he is just a blinkers horse, which he'll get on Saturday. Like you said, there's a lot of speed in this race. The danger, Queen of Hawks, drawn barrier 1. She isn't the best beginner out of the gates, but she musters really quick. So it'll be interesting to see whether Pikey can hold the top. But either way, Sir Dreamlot just looks at horse, so it will just sit sort of 4th, 5th, one off the fence, let the speed unfold out in front of him and have last crack. So the only other query I have, I'm a little bit, I don't love to back a 3-year-old first up when they've had a really good 2-year-old preparation. I just think I like to see him come back and do it first.
Have a look,
yeah. So this will be more of a watch race for me, but yeah, definitely right. So Dreamlight's your starting point.
Yep, I think Keep It a Mystery. There's been plenty of support at the double figures that was available early, and improver onto a better surface for Luke Fernie. And yeah, Queen of Hawks was really, Tash Faithful just really happy to let go of her in that most recent trial. She dashed away. The blinkers were on in that heat in comparison to the heat prior when they weren't on, just was a lot sharper with the application of those blinkers, and you'd expect an aggressive ride from William Pike from that inside draw, given, I guess, how the Belmont 1,000 metres has played across the season to really kick through and hold up in front.
I think so. I mean, I like seeing a debutant go to a maiden first up, but I mean, the stable had the success with Perfect Chant last Saturday, so it definitely can be done.
Yeah, and you think Neville from Oakland Park, he's not going to be messing around here. He'd either go to a maiden as well, wouldn't he? So obviously he thinks Queen of Hawks got the ability to be able to win first up.
It was a good trial. Very good trial.
Race number 3, the Key Clean Handicap over the 1,000 metres. This is time to go at 124, One Capital Flight, 650 to 550. Under Influence, 6 to 550. Ain't No Other Man, 380 firm. Sinful Living, $2 to $1.90. Wednesday's $34, and a Chichi Walamali is $26 with 7 a scratching.
I don't mind one here, Marty. I don't mind how this race sets up for Capital Flight. Now, Sinful Living and Ain't No Other Man, both very quick, both expected to go quick in this race. They'll press forward. I think it allows Capital Flight the opportunity to take the drop in behind that pair, stalking them. He meets Ain't No Other Man under the same weights as last start when he sat in the breeze on straightening and went straight past him. He meets Under Influence 1.5 kilos better for a 0.18 length beaten margin the last time they met as well. So he gets into this race nicely. It's been a while between drinks for him, I will say that. He hasn't won since December of 2022, but given I've got some real trust issues with a horse like Ain't No Other Man, Dan, Sinful Living looks your leader from barrier 1, but there's going to be some pressure on with Ain't No Other Man in the race, stepping up sharply in grade from a Class 3. Didn't really beat a great deal, so I still want to see her do it in this sort of company. I think she's certainly short enough at the $1.90. I just thought that Capital Flight at around that $6 mark with this setup, I'm happy to have something on him there at the price.
Main talking point for me in this race is, yeah, like you said, Sinful Living short enough. I think that's an understatement. I couldn't back her with stolen money at the odds on quote. I know she won well last start, but sort of got a day where you wanted to be on speed, got left alone, and I'd be really surprised if that race turned into a good form reference behind her. So really keen to take her on at the price. But, Rylie, as you said, the problem is the 3 horses who look the logical dangers. It's hard to come at any of those 3 with much confidence. I mean, Ain't No Other Man's a horse that's sucked me in on more than one occasion. He just can't get the job done. And I think he won at Kalgoorlie which was a while ago, but I don't even know when his last win before that was. He'll run a good race, but maybe it was more of a top 2 chance. Under Influence is a horse that looks like he's about to tail off, and then he can hit the line with full of gusto on his day, but not really the type of horse that I like to back. And yeah, I'm sort of with you, Rylie. Capital Flight, but for me, the only issue is just the map. I'm not sure where he gets to from the gate, so he also hasn't won in a while. So yeah, a race that I'd stay out of, but definitely for those out there who are looking to play Sinful Living, I'd recommend waiting. I think that price is only going to get bigger.
So if you got the right price, does she win?
Oh, I actually didn't even have her on top, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah, so I'd be... Nah.
It looks to me as though Chris Parnham has opted to ride Under Influence over her, the stablemate, who I thought was potentially showing signs that, as you touched on, Dan, he might be coming to the end of his preparation.
The other thing with Sinful Living is ain't no other man going to accept the breeze, or with Matty Derrick on board, it could get really ugly up front for the favourite.
And that's, I guess, going back to why I do think it sets up okay for Capital Flight, because you have those 2 real speed horses that'll go early. The only other horse that has tactical speed in the race is, or slight tactical speed in the race, is a Chichi Volamali. So I just thought Luke Campbell with a positive ride early could land in that spot.
Yeah, that's a great point, actually. Might just be a vacuum for him. Just to slot
exactly. So I actually think around that $6 mark for Capital Flight, I'm happy to put that in the book, Marty.
Okay, you're in the book there with Capital Flight, Simple Living, Magumba by Safeguard, Colin Brown tuned in. Don't forget you can get a Safeguard deal with Colin Brown out there at Magumba, 4,400 on the book.
Gee, they're running hot at the moment.
They're having a good run. Good time to be running hot. Let's go to race number 4. The Perth Racing now hiring Carnival Staff Handicap over the 1,400 metres.
You a chance?
Not at this stage. Very full on getting here.
Times are tough.
Yeah, 3:59 start time. One Son of a God 61. Playhouse Patronus 9. Other One Son $3. Lord Gannicus $555. Wango Award is $850. Desert Nymph 4 to 340. Gee, they've had a spec at Corn Cob, 31 into 13.
Cobb.
And also Exel Train's been 26 into 11, so specking for a couple of roughies there, McGinnity.
Probably one of the better races of the day. Dan, I might let you kick off with this one and your thoughts.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a theme for the card so far. Another race with plenty of speed on paper, so horses like XL Train, Lord Gannicus, Corn Cob, and even Wango Award led last start. So I think they should run this at a genuine tempo. Now, for me, the horse that's going to be suited with that tempo, who can sit in just behind, is Desert Nymph. I think she's flying this preparation, 1-3 on the bounce, and then last start she just bombed the start, got back to last in a race that was partially run.
Yeah.
Although she was beaten around 2 lengths, sectionally to even get that close was just huge. She was basically impossible at the top of the straight. So if she can jump with them, hold a spot, and then she holds form, there's no reason why she can't get back into her winning ways. But I guess her knockers will say on a good track, is she as effective? She's definitely a wet tracker. My argument to that would be her win 2 starts ago, or it might be 3 starts ago now, was on a soft 5. And I actually thought that was nearly the best win of her preparation. So whether she can do it on a good track, we'll find out Saturday. But if you think she can, then I think she looks the one.
Yeah, 2 starts ago, soft 5. She was very good. It was a terrific win. And I think importantly for her, her chances, Dan, she gets Lucy Fiore back aboard, and Lucy seems to be able to really get her out of the barriers well. She seems to really jump under Lucy. So I think with the good barrier that she has drawn there on the weekend, that's a very important point. She out-sprinted Other One Son a couple of starts ago, and I don't think that race was run to suit Other One Son. In saying that, who has been super since returning to the track, Marty, this horse for Luke Fernie, after wanting to still overdo things a bit, given the race was run at a pretty moderate tempo. 3rd up now, up to 1,400 metres. They both suit him. I think he's ready to win, Dan, but the map just looks a bit sticky for him. Could I see Brad press forward and really kick him out of the barriers early? He's certainly not a horse who's tardy away, but I'm not sure they'd want to be caught deep with him either. He gets a 1.5 kilo on Desert Nymph for the 0.4 length beaten margin from last start at 1,300 metres. So I think he's ready to rock and roll and win a race, Other One Son, but it's just not a setup I want to be diving into, Dan.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, if you swap the barriers between Other One Son and Desert Nymph, then you definitely swap your clear on top selection. But I just can't see a spot in the map. If he goes forward, as we touched on, there's a lot of speed in this race. I think he gets posted, so then he probably has to go back on a day we've already touched on. Could play on speed, closer to the fence. It's just going to be a really big ask for him. And for that reason, Desert Nymph gets the nod. One more horse we have to touch on is Lord Gannicus.
Yep. Absolutely.
Good trial. And
really
then
good trial. First
up, surprisingly, they went to 1,000, but he didn't embarrass himself by any stretch, did he?
I just want to query on Desert Nymph back onto a firmer track. No concern?
Oh, definitely a query, yep. But we just said if she can do it on a soft 5, can she do it on a good 4?
And that brings Lord Gannicus right into it because he'd be screaming out for these sort of track conditions. And then that's probably why you've got the money for Corn Cob. Go and have a look at his form. It's all good track form, terrible soft form, and have a look. His last 6 starts have all been on softs.
Yeah.
Corn Cob wasn't a bad run last start, but he did get away
with a lot.
He got away with a lot, didn't he? Got it pretty cheap out in front, and yeah, as we've said, there's a lot more pressure in this, so I just don't think he's going to get that same run in front.
We're catching up with Grant Williams a bit later on following the Perth Racing Preview, and I'm interested to ask him about Lord Gannicus because after the trial, the first up run over a very unsuitable 1,000 metres, Marty, I think this horse has come back super. Really, really good. And he does go 1,000 to 1,400 metres second up, which is a pretty steep rise and trip from a sticky barrier that he's drawn there on the weekend. But I think he's showing all the signs that he may have come back in career best form, this horse.
Would he be Kalgoorlie bound for something up there?
Well, we can find out later on.
Ask him.
She's got a Barbarella silver swimsuit, and when she needs to shelter from reality, she takes a dip in my daydream. My days end best when the sunset gets itself.
Yes. Keep those texts coming.
Get those quaddies in.
For Retrovision.
0427 789 571. McGinnity's weighed in. He says he cannot believe he's copping smoke bombs from you, Mart, when he hasn't priced up a single race.
Yeah. Good on you, McGinnity. Don't take holidays, mate. Brad Short's taking it up. He's having a go at pricing races, so watch out over your shoulder. Barbaro Small Goods, they bring us this quaddie, the Barbaro's quaddie competition. Get your techs in and get your quaddies in. They've been voted Australia's best ham for the semi-boneless leg ham. They're award-winning small goods. They're taking the small goods market by storm, and you just ask for them by name at your local independent deli and grocer, Barbaro's. And if you're not into small goods, you're just into good meat, get out to 120 Cockman Road like I did last Friday. Wowee, filled up the freezer and a few other things. The TABtouch Stakes, a big one, $100,000 over the 1,600.
Good prize money.
River Rubicon, $650 from 7. Holy Enchantment. Oh, S. Now, hang on, S. We should be ringing him, shouldn't we?
He had a little smile on his face yesterday.
He's smirking.
He had a good day yesterday, to be fair, so he had plenty to smile about, but he just had that little pep in his step yesterday, SJ.
Richie Bell's one of those warped characters, right? So he knows that I decided to give Bellini Miss one more. I thought there could be a reason.
You missed out.
Missed out. If he hasn't mentioned the betting plunge and Bellini Miss being successful at its last start 15 times in the last 4 days since it won, I've said, I'll knock it off, Rich. Captain Chaos, I think he was on it, 15 into 12. Vast Art, 250 to 230. Good to see D-Mac in good form out at the track yesterday. Rockanori's 650 to 550. Crescent City, 550 from 5. Scratch from the Boulder Cup, was it? Crescent City, am I confused?
I think always going around here.
Yeah, and he always is $14. Was it nommed or have I...
No, I think you just imagine
getting
things,
mixed up. Okay.
After you sleep.
Yep.
In that last race.
You reckon the Nymph will handle the firm track, mate? Eh?
That's good. It's actually, I love the fact that our listeners keep you honest and are clued into that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I know. I only throw them out. I do it on purpose.
Yeah, the TABtouch Stakes, good prize money on offer here. The feature, if you could call it that, on the program on the weekend. You touched on that man, SJ. Holy Enchantment resumes here at a mile off 3 trials leading in. And for the prize money on offer, Mart, just sort of gives the feel that SJ might have really primed him and set him for this sort of race. He was a 72-plus mile winner first up last campaign with 54 kilos off a solitary trial leading in. The fitness base will certainly be there with him this time around. Solid hit out at his most recent. The stable's ticking over really nicely. He's a class horse. He'll get a soft run. I just think personally, spotting a race fit in-form horse like a Vastart weight first up just might be a bridge too far for Holy Enchantment. I'm pretty keen on Vastart here. I think it's his race. I thought it was a huge running defeat in the finally, Dan. He drew widest. He got right back off a moderate tempo in that race. 1-2-3 in running, finished 1-2-3 at the finish. He was briefly held up on straightening and had to check off heels to find clear galloping room. And the way he charged home to just miss by under half a length, I thought was an outstanding performance. He's drawn for a midfield cover run here, steps up to a mile now, 4th up onto an improving track, and I think this race pans out beautifully for him. I thought he posed the best bet on the program.
Yep, no, Rylie, I agree with everything that you've said. One interesting thing I picked up, I think, was listening to D-Mac, might have been on the Hour of Power before that run of Vastart, and I think Digby might have asked him, will you take your medicine and go back from the draw? And he said, not necessarily, just let's see how the horse jumps. And anyway, the horse didn't jump well, hence why CJP was back. But this race has absolutely no speed whatsoever. So I'm just wondering whether if the horse does jump with him, could they push forward and be positive and make a really good thing out of it? Because on form, if he runs up to what he did last start, they're going to be struggling to beat him, aren't they?
I think so. Rockanori is the one who could get things incredibly cheaply in front, as you only noted speed in the race, but is 1,200 to a mile off 7 days. That's a query for mine. Not keen on Crescent City. River Rubicon can certainly improve second up from the Farnley. Just whacked away there first up, so clearly will improve from that, but does have to carry the 60 kilos here. I just think Vastart's your winner if Clint Johnston Porter, if he can begin and hold that position, as you touched on. There isn't a great deal of speed in the race, which I think he's capable of doing. And for me, Marty, I thought Holy Enchantment looked the main danger.
Can you just make sure when Grant's on the program, you ask him if he nominated Crescent City for the Boulder Cup?
All right, I will.
Okay.
And spare you.
Would you like a side wager now, champion?
Oh, okay. Well, is that what you've been doing over there in the corner?
No, I'm just asking.
You want to make a bet with me because you already know that if I make said bet, you're going to win it.
Now, the Barbaro Butcher's quaddie is...
That was very soft. It was a soft meat slap.
Yeah, it was. Let's give it another one.
There we go.
Is about to kick off, so get those texts in already. Gee, there's about 45 of them I can see up on the screen, so get your quaddies in. Remember, the least amount of combinations is very important, but the most you can have is 4 by 4 by 4 by 4. Okay, race number 6, Kev Fitzgerald's 50th birthday over the 2200.
Happy birthday, Kev.
Good on you, Kev. 50 years old. What do you, doff the cap? I love your smile is $4.80. And I better get the fluctuations here. In from 13.
There's actually, and you
what's
know
happening? Was this a misprint?
There's one off the text line actually. Fred from Fremantle has just texted in and said, "What's the address to send Brad his bottle of scotch?" He was telling everyone at the Brook Sports Bar he was going up 13s. I love your smile, and that he drinks Shivers.
He's easily bought, isn't he? Easily bought.
There you go.
13 into 480. Hemlock Stone's been back, 320 into 270. That'll be Peter after getting the money yesterday. He's reinvested. How's yours? The Kerman, 12 into 10. Burnbrae. Is he going to get him again? 340 opened. He's out to 650. Mr. Talentino, 17 into 13. Red Dwarf, 8 to 950. Royal Gap, 21 to 18. Dark looks 11. Arnray 13, 16 into 15, and Allegro del Mondo 41 into 26. Spect.
Not exactly my cup of tea, these staying races, Dan. Are you in the same boat?
Rylie, I know that you don't like the staying races, but because you've got to do a race-by-race preview, you just do enough to get by. Well,
yes, correct.
I don't have to do a race-by-race preview, so I have given this race absolutely zero. It's all yours, my friend.
Yes, I did do the bare minimum form for this race, Marty, and I can understand the betting move on the backup for a horse like I Love Your Smile up in distance, but gee, I love the run last weekend of Hemlock Stone. Ticked the staying trip box very nicely and backs up off the 7 days into what looks a very winnable race for the team out there at Bellis Racing. Enjoying the company of Peter Bawley out there at Belmont Park yesterday. Had a winner with Empress of India.
Solely owned by Karen Bawley, if you don't mind.
If you don't mind. Karen was very, very happy with that result. Very nice win as well to run down a pretty sharp horse in Made in Mexico. But yeah, this horse Hemlock Stone, I thought he was terrific. The way he hit the line from the back in a really... They got along at a good clip in that race last weekend as well, and this looks to be another race where they will roll along with Kerman Rock and Arnray engaged. So Marty, I think if he handles the backup, he'll be very hard to beat. I was with Burnbrae last start, who's starting to develop a knack of being a perennial bridesmaid. Yeah, well, she was beaten a space, Hemlock Stone 2 back, without a great deal of luck, it can be said, and while she gets 1.5 kilos in her favour and steps up to a more, I think, suitable trip, I find it hard to convince myself she can turn the tables, and as we know, she's incredibly hard to catch. There's plenty of twos next to her name in the form guide there at the moment, and yeah, I think I Love Your Smile and Kerman Rock, who's returned well, are the other key chances in the race. I Love Your Smile, very good at the mile last weekend behind Buckets Ridge, who I think is a very nice horse for the Grant and Lana Williams camp too, so I can understand the support there at the early double figures on offer, but Hemlock Stone I think will be very hard to beat.
Do you get a little worried when you're looking at that Warwick on the back up in trip? They've been pretty good at it over the years.
They have. She's a very different horse though to a Filthy Habit, Smarty.
Mm-hmm.
She's a different horse.
Anything to do with back. JT Warwick, the bloke is an absolute genius at whatever he touches.
Well, clearly.
So if he's got the 14s...
Clearly there's some mail around.
I'll back him in. Could have been down in Bunbury Monday and he didn't accept the phone call. Download the 7 Plus app today. Handicap is race number 7, which is the second leg of the Barbaro Butchers Quaddie.
We've actually just had one come in off the text line. Will Straight Up be getting its own show on the 7 Plus coverage?
Oh, I don't think so.
I wouldn't have thought so.
No, the world's not ready for this to go to telly.
Peng would be great in a Jason Richardson type of role.
He would be, Peng. How would he go bald? Oh, I think he'd look good. One is Megami, 18. 2 Grand Reserve, 7 to 550. 3 Hoist the Colours, 31. Peng Alert in Calgary, punters. He's up there. Watch out for the little man. He's hiding behind rocks. 4 Soldanel, 17 into 750. This is the biggest meerkat day I've ever missed out on.
You have.
Oh, 5 Chantel.
He's not even here for you either.
Don't pump his tyres up like that.
6 into 550. Chantel looking for a hat trick there. 6 is Famous Dane is $6. 7 Pages Turn 28 Border Force 34 into 19. 9 is Canny Jack is 18. Great Fortune 380 to 320 and Kazkazi is $18.
Yeah, this is found this one quite tricky, Dan. Were there any strong thoughts for you here over the mile?
No, this was the last race I got to, and it was a headache job, wasn't it? Really, really even. Wouldn't look out of place on a Wednesday. Had about 5 or 6 where I just bunched them up the top and said any one of those could win. For the sake of a tip, I'll put Chantel on top. Actually, more lightly raced than what I thought when I had a proper look into her profile. But she's flying, especially last start. I know she didn't beat a lot, but straight to the breeze, bolting around the turn, and just never gave any of her rivals a look in. So what they say about a mare in form. Why can't from barrier 1 she jump straight to the front and give them something to catch at an each-way price?
Indiana's doing a terrific job with this horse, Marty.
Certainly is.
Yeah.
And for Pat Flown as well. She's an absolute stalwart of the industry, and good to see her come out with a nice horse. I think she's got a few horses with Indiana. And she's certainly done a good job with it.
Certainly has, and can completely see that scenario that Cripps just touched on eventuating on the weekend, particularly if it is playing a bit on speed. We'll touch on Soldanelle, who there's been a big market move for. It was a pretty tough watch fresh for those that liked her on that heavy surface. She just got, I'll coin it, coffined on the back of the leader and never really got room to fully extend in the run to the line. She steps straight up to the mile off a month between runs, which I like. I like the fact that Steph Vahala's kept her on the fresher side into this run. I'm just not sure about her. She's only won the one race since her time in WA, Crip, and it was fresh, and she hasn't really... she's just been... I don't know. I find her hard to sort of gauge where she's at this stage of her career, Soldanelle, but can certainly understand why there are some keen to butter up with her off that first up run. Famous Dane and Great Fortune both come through midweek form lines, but I think they're both nice horses who are going to be more than competitive here. Famous Dane, still only a very lightly raced 4-year-old, comes through a fast run mile, Class 1 at Northam last start. Ran second after doing the bullocking work from the breeze behind strong winner yesterday, Missile Storm, so that form's been franked as well. Drops 4.5 kilos at the weight. Should lob close enough, I think, to the 1 out, 1 back position in running here with Chantel and Hoists the Colours, likely to press forward to sit 1-2. So it looks a nice setup on paper for Famous Dane, and I could probably entertain a bet with him each way, to be honest, if he was to continue to creep out in price. Great Fortunes returned very well for David Harrison, Marty, who's just starting to, perk up a bit, Harrow, yes, which is good to see.
Looked good on the tally yesterday in high definition.
He did.
No makeup required.
This horse off a pretty long layoff from the track, trialled well, really good first up on the wrong part of the track, back to the inside, then sat wide in a really solidly run race last time out and was very good to sprint strongly late and score, holding off a pretty promising one for Adam Durant in Simply Thinking as well. So I think Great Fortune and Famous Dane are the two for me here that I'll be looking at, but can certainly understand the argument each way for Chantel as well, who's going super.
Okay, we go to race number 8, third leg of the Barbaro Butchers Quaddie, and this is over the 1,600 metres for Morley Growers Market, been terrific sponsors for a long time. 4:40 start time, and 1 Classic Rogue is $8.50, 2 In Good Order, $2.75, 3 Manavendra, 15, Mountain Ash, 20, Ace Command, 51, Civvy Street, had a little go at this, 81 into 20, Santa Bray has been 81 into 26, Simply, 280, 260, Manhattan Strip, 34 into 15, and even Yelling Up Girl down the bottom, 17 into 12. So they're specking some roughies here.
Yes, they are. I thought this was the most difficult race of the day to really have a firm grasp on. Dan, I thought it did look a good race on paper for a horse like Simply. In Good Order was able to hold him off last time out. Simply gets 1.5 kilos on him for a 0.3 of a length beaten margin. Drawn better here. But they're both horses, Marty, who might just be In Good Order as well, included in that. Might just be already looking for a bit further as well, both staying types. But, yeah, I think you could make a good case that Simply, who's your current favourite, it does look a good race for him on paper.
I think so, Rylie. Actually, if you go back, they obviously quinelled the race when they had their last start. If you go back and watch that race a few times, there was a key moment in it which ended up having a pretty big impact, I thought, to the result. So Pike on Simply was following Antique Star, who on paper was a great back to be on because that horse won really well at the prize start. And he had Chris tucked in on his inside and he must have been thinking, you beauty, I've got him locked away. And then Antique Star just dropped off a lot quicker than what Pike would have expected, which let Chris and In Good Order out. And I think at the end of the day, that was just the difference. If Antique Star takes Pike into the race, then I think you get a different result. I personally thought out of those two, Simply was the better run. As you said, only 0.3 of a length, gets 1.5 kilos swing for good measure. So in a race where I thought those two looked the obvious ones, clear lean to me was Simply.
He'll be hard to beat, Marty. I think we'll catch up with Grant and get a bit more of an elaboration on him later on. Classic Rogue is the other genuine winning chance. I thought who's going super at the moment as well. Was edged out in a three-way go last start between Category 3 and Captain Pluto. He ran second again last weekend, and although he's pretty hard to catch, Marty, the captain, he's still going well, so it's not bad form.
Yeah.
Not bad form at all.
The only other one, just want to touch on at odds, Manhattan Strip.
Yep.
Probably not going at his best, his prep, but could be an improvement just back on top of the ground.
Absolutely.
It's got a little bit of a whiff to it, this race. I think if Simply doesn't win it, I can understand why there's been specking for a few rough odds. Okay, the final leg of the Barbaro Butchers. Get those quaddies in. You could win a $100 voucher out there at Barbaro's. The voucher is to the butcher shop, by the way, not to the small goods. But
Jeez, some quaddies flying in.
Ask for them by name at Farmer Jack's, at IGA. Go wherever you can get all your good food and ask for the small goods there from Barbaro Butchers. So are they going 4x4x4x4? Or are they showing a little bit of...
There's plenty of ticker being shown.
Good. We need it. All WA races live and free on 7+ handicap over the 1200. I asked Sophie Stone yesterday afternoon, whilst I was working with her, tell us how you get onto 7+. Well, I reckon after about 3 minutes, I said, that's enough, Soph. You've confused everyone. Why don't you just turn your tally on and find it? 1 influencing, 850. 2 leading Taddy, 34 into 13. The Great Hoya, 15 into 13. Tell me, Jelly Can Run, did it take anything out before I start? No.
It was already out.
Okay. The Great Hoya is 15 to 13. Elite One, 5 to 390. King of Keed, 460 to 390. New Music, 850 firm. 8 He's Got Wings, 34 to 31. Mean Machine, 4 to 350. I'm Eugene, 126. And Sweet Tea for Bradley, $61.
Well, there was clearly a move at the top there for leading Taddy, and I can understand that betting move, Marty, as well. On that, I guess, the adage back on top of the ground, a lot of these horses who have been racing on soft tracks can really improve, and I think he's certainly one of them, Dan, who can give this race a bit of a sight at the odds. He's down in class. Up to 1,200 metres, I think, suits him as well. I thought if he could kick through in the lead or box seat, and the track has shown that's certainly of no disadvantage, then I could see him running a big race at a big price, leading Taddy. I found this a tricky race to finish the day, but he was where the main value for me in the market sat at this current point, and I guess writing some notes before coming in. Mean Machine brings an attractive profile. What have you made of this horse's preparation to date, Dan?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously... 2 starts ago, got the job done with a nice ride in the breeze from Pikey, and then last start had to do it tough, 3 deep. Loom the winner, just got run over late. We all think Arcadia Park goes well, and the Casey horse, which escapes my name, its name escapes me at the moment.
Jackpot Bingo.
Jackpot Bingo, that's the one. It went good on Wednesday. So, But Rylie, you've stolen my thunder here a little bit. But on a day where I found it hard to get very excited about a lot of the races.
You haven't given us much, mate.
I know.
You've given us less.
I've given nothing, have I? But I'm saving the best till last.
Okay.
Leading Taddy for me is the clear best bet on the card.
Wow, there we go.
Clear best each way bet on the card. So form from last prep, just read super for a race like this. Finished a length behind Storm Chaser, ran 30 in the Pinjarra Magic Millions. Look, hasn't gone as good this prep, but first and second up, pulled up with thumps. And as you touched on, Rylie, both on a soft track. Last run on a soft 5 over 1,000 metres, which is short of its best, was really good. Beaten only 2 lengths in a 66+. Now drops back to a grad. This isn't a strong race. Drawn barrier 1, up to 1,200 metres. I think that's where the place is going to be, close to the fence. Look, when the $34...
Oh, you sneaked some of us. You rifled it.
Christmas has come early, but $13 now, still well over my price. So
there you go.
I'm actually in Melbourne on Saturday, so it's going to be $7.20 over there. It's going to be a long wait, but that's the race that
imagine if it's the Lutes. What sort of a night we got ahead of us?
There we go.
Hey?
took me a while, but we got there. Some excitement in this card.
Yeah, well, yeah. So on the way in, Leading Taddy was still around that $21 mark. So there's been a bit of support as well since we started recording, Marty. Yep. And just of the other key chances in the market, I just couldn't find an edge there either. I thought Elite One is capable of winning again, but was it his day last time out with that beautiful 3-deep cover, trip in transit, blended into the race beautifully, just got the PR there. Will he get that same run this time out from a sticky barrier? Unsure. King of Keed was good last start, progressing nicely. Stepped straight from a maiden win into Saturday Company. Was beaten under 2 lengths. Silver Eye from the widest barrier. Beat home Elite One there. So actually gets a kilo in his favour for beating him home, but Elite One never really got a crack at them. It was inconclusive in that race. And yeah, Mean Machine's the X factor. Back to 1,200 metres. 3-year-old. Carries no weight, shown versatility, which gives Chris Parnham options from the barrier as well. But yeah, sorry for jumping the gun and getting in ahead of you there, Crip. But yeah, I thought Leading Taddy actually wasn't a bad each way bet either in a pretty tricky race, I thought, to finish the day.
Yeah, I agree. Like Elite One last start, good win, but there was so many hard luck stories in behind it. King of Keed's probably the one that, if I had to have a saver, that would be mine. I mean, good run last start, straight to a grad from a maiden. Now gets Pike and a low draw, so should settle a lot closer. But just looking at the market now, a horse like Influencing is shorter than Leading Taddy. I just don't think that horse has come up this prep. So Leading Taddy each way all day for me. Pretty keen.
There it is. Now we've got to get to Jess Earnshaw at Northern for a trackside preview. So let's get your best bets first.
Best bets for me, Marty. We'll go race 3, number 1, Capital Flight. I like how the race sets up for him. I think the best bet on the program, race 5, number 4, Vastart. And in race 7, I'll go race 7, number 6, Famous Dane. And I'll have a little saver on the 10, Great Fortune as well.
And for me, Mart, I'll go, obviously, race 9, number 2, yes, Leading Taddy each way. And then we'll stick with Rylie and go Vastart in the feature. And I also think Simply will be pretty hard to beat in race number 8.
Vastart and Simply from the Williams stable. We'll talk to Grant pretty soon about its chances as well. Hey, Dan, just before we go, can brother Patrick win the Brownlow?
I hope so. I'm flying over for it, so it'll be a fun night if he does. But look, don't have any intel, just like every other recreational footy punter.
Unless you know an umpire.
Definitely don't know any umpire. It would be nice, wouldn't it?
It'll be a fun night.
But it seems like all the models and the data gurus think it's a 2-horse race. So I think
the models.
The models, yeah.
Oh,
the
okay.
ratings models.
The betting models.
Not the other models.
Not your models, Marty.
Yeah.
Not the leggy blonde models, but...
Someone mentioned models.
I think, Paddy and Dacos, they'll just keep clearing out in the market, and they look the 2.
Okay. Brilliant. Thanks for coming in, Dan.
Pleasure, boys.
All
Thanks
for that last
anytime.
tip. We're all going to join in there.
We'll do it again soon, for sure.
We hope you enjoyed another stimulating episode of Straight Up. All betting markets supplied by TABtouch. All care, no responsibility went into the production of today's podcast.